G'day everyone, it's Jill. Hoping that the storm that one of our panellists tells me has hit her home in the south doesn't hit my home in the north in the next hour, but I guess it might. So if a storm comes, we may all lose each other. Anyhow, we'll battle on. This is Jill, also known as GeniAus in Sydney, Australia, and I'm ready and raring to go with another Hangout on air. In this evening's Hangout, we'll be focusing on CGD. Now, that's an acronym I made up. Continuing Genealogical Development. It's sort of like CPD for genies, even amateur ones like me. They're the activities, CGD, the activities we undertake to make sure we're aware of and can learn to use new resources and tools, and just generally broaden our knowledge in the area of genealogy and family history. Now tonight we'll ponder on a few points. We'll talk about what we've learned over the past 12 months, what learning activities have been most useful, how do you keep track of your learning, do you actually keep track of your learning, and what have you taught others, and we want to look to the future as well. So what learning and teaching activities have you planned for 2015? Or for the rest of 2014, because I know I've got a couple of exciting things, and someone is trying to invite me to another Hangout. I just have to ignore them, I'm sorry. Anyway, housekeeping. We haven't got any more panellists in the 10 spots, so that's fine. I'm going to, if we do get more than 10, I'll ask people to retire gracefully to let someone else have a go. Now I'm going to have a look at the film strip again and see who has joined us today. Brenda, I didn't see you there before. How are you? Would you like to introduce yourself to everyone? Please. And Brenda's just an avatar, so we might leave her. Chris, can you unmute yourself and say g'day?
Hello everyone, I'm Chris from Central Queensland, and it's lovely and warm here tonight, so...
Oh, you're lucky.
Yeah, I'm kind of wishing I put the fan on.
Oh, I'm sitting here with a winter cardigan on because it's so cold in Sydney at the minute. Don't tell Jane that our weather's not beautiful. Good evening, Jane.
Hi, Jill. I'm Jane Taubman. I live in Somerset in southwest England, and it's
Jane, we've got a bit of feedback from you. Have you got a mic or something you can use, or just
have a twiddle with it when I've done this bit.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll come back to you.
Better?
That's fine. Yeah. Okay. So where are you again in the UK? Where are you in the UK?
I don't know what else to say, so I'll let somebody else introduce themselves, and I'll go and twiddle the button.
Okay. And Jenny, are you there? Or I think Jenny's disappeared. Maybe the storm's hit Jenny's house, and we've lost Heather Clary as well. So that's a bit tragic. Oh, Jenny, you are there. Oh, it's a different Jenny. Hello, Jenny Mackay. How are you?
Hi.
If you can just say hello. Yes, we can, and tell us where you are. I think I know where you are.
Yes, I'm in a hot part of the country as well. I'm in Western Australia, so it's quite warm here. And yes, I could have put a fan on too.
It's wonderful to see you, because we've had people from all states and quite a range of countries, but you're the only Western Australian we've ever managed to connect with. So that's really great. Thank you, Heather Clary. You're back. If you can just say hello and tell us where you're hanging out, and if you can unmute yourself.
Everything just dropped out for a while, so I haven't been able to hear you even.
So if you're just saying hello and telling people where you are.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm Heather Clary, and I live in Cronulla, and I belong to Botany Bay Family History Group.
Oh, you've just had a birthday, haven't you? Not you personally.
We have, yes, not me. Botany Bay was 30 years old this year. And we had about 10 foundation members, which was lovely, and it was a very successful night. We had over 100 members there to celebrate, just tell stories and have some cake and yes, it was very pleasant.
That's great history. All right, Jenny, the other Jenny. That's going to be difficult for me. Are you able to say
Jenny
hello
J.
and tell us where you are? Jenny J.
Jenny.
Yeah, Jenny J. Sydney Jenny.
Yes. Hello, yes, I'm in Sydney and the storm hasn't hit here yet, although I did drop out a minute ago. I don't think it's as cold as Jill says, but then I suffer from the heat, not the cold.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Good. And we've got someone else who's from Sydney as well. We've got a good Sydney contingent tonight and another very youthful person, which is great. Cherie. Is it Cherie or Sherry?
Cherie.
Cherie.
Hi, Jill.
Yep. How are you?
Good. I have to actually agree with you about the cold. I was out in the cold this afternoon doing T-ball practice and I had to nick one of the kids' jackets. It was so cold out there.
Yeah, there's a bit of a wind, isn't there? No, I'm just seeing beside you another friend who is in South Australia. Hello, Kylie. How are you?
Hi, Jill. Good, thanks.
Okay, so this is Kylie of Kylie's Genes blog from South Australia. It's great to see her online with us tonight. Now, have I been along? Oh, no, there we are. I can see Fran Kitto. Hi, Fran.
Hi.
You're up in Queensland.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, great. So we've got a couple of Queenslanders. That's beautiful. I've got a really full panel tonight. Now, Fran, while we're with you, can you remember the things that we were going to cover? You've probably been on a bit of a steep learning curve in the past 12 months. Would you like to just tell us a little bit about something you've learned and what's been the most useful for you?
I think that the most useful thing, I wrote a note, was that is that actually the way you do things you have to change. And so it's not something that necessarily someone told me this, but the way I was doing things in the past wasn't always working. So I've got my own system of filing now that I'm happy, and I'll probably change it and improve it later on when I learn more, but making things too complicated or doing things too perfect sometimes can actually get you nowhere. So that's the main thing I've really learned.
That's the main thing you've really learned. What formal learning activities have you taken? That's something you've sort of just gathered by osmosis and through practice, I suppose. Are there any formal learning activities that you've undertaken that stand out?
Obviously Roots Tech that I went to earlier in the year. I just was like a big sponge, and I picked things that I wanted to know about, like DNA and also sourcing and that type of thing. So a lot of the classes I went to were actually repetitive, but it was a different person giving it from a different perspective, and it meant that I was totally immersed in it. And that's why I'm so looking forward to this year, because if you immerse yourself on those few days, the steep learning curve doesn't seem as steep.
Great. There actually there's another panellist along here who's going to Roots Tech in 2015, so hopefully you'll get to meet up with Jenny J.
That'd be
at
great.
Roots Tech, and if we have dinner on the Tuesday night, if you can make it, because after the thing starts, it's just so crazily busy. You can't get to do anything. Now, I'm going to try and work in order. I can see Pauline's joined us from the Northern Territory, but I'm going to start with Chris. Chris, the same question to you. What have you learned over the past 12 months? Not a great big catalogue, a highlights will do. And what's been the most useful?
Well, probably the main thing is I've learnt how to do Hangouts and webinars, and thank you. and I think that's the most useful. Apart from that, I've done lots of self-development, but a lot of it is combined with the fact that I am an IT trainer. So what I learn in that field is in relation to learning and delivering training and everything is so useful for my genealogical pursuits as well. So yeah, so really it's just I'm lucky, I suppose, in a combined way that I'm able to share that stuff across.
Use your skills across. Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Any sort of little kernel, something, a highlight you want to share with us, a tip? Like Fran's talked about the importance of not being so perfect and, everything.
Yeah. Well, I guess mine's a bit like Fran's in that it isn't anything that I formally learned, but I finally worked out that I really do have to set myself some genealogical goals. I've got to plan, prioritise and schedule time for it, because with all the other activities I do, I just really don't get a lot of time for my own research. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's important.
No, that's excellent. Now, Jane, are you still with us? She may not be.
I am.
Yes, she is. We just can't see your face. So have you got anything that you've learnt, want to share with us, that you've learnt this year, or that, you're a very experienced family historian like Chris, you're an IT professional.
Yeah. I think, I picked up ever such a lot of extra hints and tips on the cruise this year. That was a really different learning experience for me. And funnily enough, even for my husband, who swore blind he wasn't going to any lectures, and then was moaning that there were too many lectures on at once for him to go to all the ones he wanted to go to.
You'll recognise here one of your table mates, actually, from the cruise. Wasn't Pauline dining with you on the cruise?
No, she was.
Yes. There you go.
She was around. Yes. She wasn't on the same table.
So, Jane, is there something that, even as a very experienced person, you've learnt this year that you would like to share with us?
I think what I've been doing this year, and certainly to a much better extent, is I've been using Evernote quite extensively to grab extra information off of the web and grab the actual pages, because I go back in some of my sources from way back, remembering that I've been doing it for rather a long time, is that I was putting in web pages and which of course have gone. So what I'm tending to do now is to put a link within Family Historian to an Evernote note. And Evernote note links to the web page. So that way, if the web page goes, I've still got a copy of the original page that I used as a source. Mostly they're separate. There's still good information. And it's also been quite useful. I've been working with somebody about a rather interesting murder in part of my husband's family. And using the newspaper archive to a greater extent to extract all of that information has been fascinating. He woke up one morning and decided he didn't like the wife anymore, so he knocked her over the head with a hammer and did the same thing with the children.
I'm glad Miss Jenny isn't learning. No, Jenny J's just pulled her headgear off. So we're going to wave to Carmel in Queensland and wave to Pauline in the Northern Territory. And we'll jump along to Jenny Mackay. Yeah, hi Carmel. Jenny Mackay, I know you've spent a lot of time holidaying this year, but have you done any formal learning activities? Have you found anything useful? Have you learned something?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
It's just saying my microphone wasn't working, so it's all right.
No, it's fine.
I'm an older genealogist in the sense I've been going for about 30 years, and then work sort of took over my life and didn't get to do anything. So I'm actually pretty well coming back again, I could say. So I'm just finding that all the new technology, I'm a bit of a tech nerd, I like IT stuff.
I think there are a few along this panel.
Yes, I think I've picked out a few. I'm listening to what they were saying.
Yeah.
Who love this internet. So it's a really new learning curve for me as well, because people sort of see me at the family history groups and they think that, oh, you know, I know it all, but I go, no, I don't, because I'm still learning. I'm back learning again. So I'm finding the podcasts, the GeniAus Down Under podcasts, are absolutely excellent if people haven't got onto those. And I go for my walks, so that's getting my exercise in at the same time.
Yeah. Actually, I'm just wondering if there's a volunteer who could actually put, because I'm trying to drive two computers here, who could actually put the URL for Maria Northcote's GeniAus Down Under podcasts in the Hangout on Air under the Hangout on Air screen on GeniAus. I can see Hillary's making some comments there, and Jonathan Old is also making some comments. And hello, Michelle Nichols too. So someone could, doesn't mind, a volunteer putting in any URLs in the conversation there. That'd be really beautiful. All right, sorry to interrupt, Jenny.
No worries.
So you're finding that Hangouts on Air valuable.
Yeah, being the IT person on a group that I was on, I'm no longer with that group anymore. It's nothing to do with genealogy. It was scrapbooking. I actually learnt to use WordPress from there, so I'm doing blogs now, and I've breaking down all my blogs, because, you know, the more you post on those, Google puts it out there, and people are coming in and, hey, we're related to you, and I know who that is. Yeah, it's fantastic.
So you're suggesting blogging as a valuable tool, and I think nearly everyone that's on the film strip. Yes, everyone on the film strip has a blog. Funny that.
Well, so that's years ago, you know, we used to order the films in, you know, through the Latter-day Saints library, and, you know, weed through them without getting seasick and the rest of it. But now it's all online, and it's just all my brick walls that I had, they're all come tumbling down now.
Tumbling, so. That's wonderful. Would you be able to share the links to your blog, please, on the page there underneath, so that anyone who's watching and who'd like to have a look at your blog can do so.
I've got a couple of different ones. I've split it up into families, so there's a couple that I do.
Good. Okay. Yeah, I've taken the plunge with WordPress this year with my new blog, my fun blog, and I'm quite enjoying it. I'm moving to South Australia now. Kylie, how are you? Can you unmute yourself and tell us a bit about your learning activities or your learning this year? You're still muted. You need to unmute. Yep, that's it. We've got you.
Okay. My learning this year has been with helping other people with their family trees. So I haven't actually done any formal learning, but lots of creating trees for others, and also helping someone to organise their holidays so that they could travel around Scotland and visit the places where their ancestors lived.
That's good. Any standout? Anything you've learned personally that you've improved your practice in any shape, way, or form? No.
Definitely in citing sources. In doing it for somebody else, it certainly makes me tighten up on my practices for my own family tree.
Okay. That's good. All right, I'm going to just jump along because, time marches on quickly, and we'll come back to you. Pauline, any learning happened this year? Oh, Pauline, you've got a new role. I wonder what your new role is. Maybe you can unmute yourself and tell us what your new role is.
Yeah, hang on. Okay, I'm unmuted.
Hang on. Good.
Okay. My new role is to join you as an official blogger for Congress next year, so that's pretty exciting.
So what's Congress?
Congress is the trainee conference. It's held in, either Australia or New Zealand every 3 years. It's really the conglomeration of all the Australian and New Zealand genealogists. So it's our big chance to actually get together, meet each other, hear all the expert speakers from around the various countries, and just be immersed in genealogy for a few days. And next year's is in Canberra. So we've got the added chance of going to look at the National Library and hang out there, to go to the National Archives. The social function is at the Australian War Memorial, so there's 2 opportunities there to go and research, but also just to have fun. And the sound and what's it called? Sound and Film Archive as well is on my list. So there's heaps of things to do in Canberra in its own right. So if you're going, please don't just book for the 4 days. I think you need more than that to get full benefit from it.
Yeah, sure. That's good. I just, because I'm the instigator of the Hangout, oh no, we'll forget it. Tell us about some of your learning. I was reading the conversation plus trying to watch you, and I can't do it all at once. So you tell us about your learning.
My learning, I suppose my biggest learning opportunity this year has been the cruise in February, when we went around the east coast of Australia down to Melbourne, Adelaide, Hobart and back, and spending a lot of time meeting a lot of junior bloggers in person, which was fantastic, and hearing all sorts of speakers, and more than anything, just absorbing the ideas, ticking off what you do, what you don't do, being inspired to go and try something else. And even things that you thought you knew, you learned something new as well. So that was a wonderful opportunity for me. I think that was the highlight of the year. And I think I learned all the time, to be honest, from blogging, because you see what someone else has done or thought or how they've written about it, and it inspires you to go and have a go as well. Hence why I started the Congress paper last week, because I thought, well, Jill can do it, I should be able to have a go. And it wasn't as simple. It was not as simple as that GeniAus person said it was, but I got there in the end.
Have you done a paperly one for Congress?
Yeah,
I didn't realise. Oh, okay.
A weekly. Because I don't think there's enough going on daily.
No, there's not. Yeah.
I did play with the daily one for myself just to see how it goes.
So for those of you who don't know what Pauline's talking about, it's the papr.li paper that comes out. Well, obviously, the GeniAus one comes out daily, but I thought it was very easy to set up. And once you set it up, it goes and harvests any tweets that are related to people I put in a group called Australian Genealogists, and I've got 99 people in that group. I actually haven't got any commercial places in there, anyone that's trying to make a buck. It's just all people like us. So Pauline set one up for Congress, so that'd be a bit of learning that you did, wouldn't it?
It was a bit of learning, and yes, I did the lists, and it was just coming to grips with not getting everything people wrote and putting in the right hashtags and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and I must say,
it's not so bad.
Yeah, if it gets full of, I do remove I do remove people from the list if I see that they're, sending out tweet after tweet after retweet after retweet after retweet. Because I think some people tweet too much, so there's a balance there. Anyway, that's good. Now, I wonder what Cherie's learnt this year, and if she's been able to, because she works full time, have you been able to get to any learning activities that have impressed you?
I haven't gone to learning activities. What I've done is hangouts on air, webinars, and reading lots of blogs. So it's been a whole range of things.
I think they're extremely valid because you can do them in your own place, in your own time, and especially for someone busy like you. And I think Pauline will agree that she's a bit more isolated than many of us. I'm sure she'll agree that for her, they're really valuable tools. So what actually have you taken from these blogs and hangouts and podcasts and whatnot? What sort of, are there any standout takeaways?
At the moment, I think probably organisation and methodology, trying to get myself really organised, especially having a couple months where I didn't do anything near the beginning of the year. So getting myself back into that and being really is citing my sources so I know exactly where I've been and analysing what I've got.
I can see a few themes emerging here. I'm just sort of writing them down on my old-fashioned pad beside me, even though I've got two computers going. All right, I'll come back to you. I'm going to say hello to Carmel. Carmel's another teacher, Sherry. Carmel's like Jill. She's got white hair and she's retired. So, Carmel, have you learned anything from someone else this year?
I've learned heaps, Jill. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, good. Yes, I was just looking through my Feedly today and worked out that I've now got 57 genealogy blogs I'm reading. And of course, I learn so much from other people all the time. So that's, a superb way of learning. I suppose the things I attended were back in Family History Month. And I didn't get down to Brisbane a couple of weekends ago when Pauline and Shauna were doing presentations. So missed out on that one, but hope to go to Canberra next year.
Oh, good. Well, you've got to get in quickly to for the early bird. You've got till the 31st of October.
Yes, yes, I do realise that.
Yeah,
yes.
But, I suppose if you miss it, you miss it. Never mind. That's good. Now, I interrupted you. I'm going to put everyone on the spot. I'm going to ask, is there a presenter that you've heard or experienced, it could be online in a podcast or whatever, that has really impressed you, that you've thought, yeah, I'd tell everyone to make a great effort to go and hear that person? Carmel? Does anyone spring to mind?
Not necessarily as a presenter, but as a blogger, I find, I can't think of her name, but the one who writes all the Moultrie Creek stuff. M-O-U-L-T-R-I-E.
Oh, I love her.
Moultrie Creek, I love her. She's really,
Denise Barrett
really good, Denise.
Olsen.
That's
Could you
right.
put her name in there, please? Yes. Denise Barrett Olsen. Yes. Yeah, she's a technology. Yeah, she's really great. I love hers, and she has posts that are directed towards societies, and I think they're so useful. So, someone's got a message. I bet it's Jenny Joy.
Yeah.
Her phone makes that noise. All right, no, that's good. Now I'm going to ask. Oh, it's not your phone. No, you're muted. All right, we're going to ask Chris Wright. Put you on the spot. Anyone that you've heard this year that you'd say, this person's really inspiring?
Well, the main one is you.
Oh, don't be silly.
I've been trying to encourage everybody to, that I know of, to come along and watch these webinars. I just think the Hangout thing is really, really useful, and you encourage everybody else, so that's great.
Oh,
congratulations.
Thank you, I didn't do it for that reason. All right, we'll put Fran on the spot, another newbie. Fran, you went to Roots Tech. You've been around this year. Is there anyone? Can you unmute yourself? Who's inspired you? Yep.
Oh, well, seeing you've already been taken, my favourite is Lisa Louise Cook, and that's because I love it that she does so many podcasts, and they vary from friendly chat about her family to exciting new technology that's coming up. She has tons of different interviews with different people, but you can listen in the car. I mean, sometimes you feel, I should really go back and look at that, or I should look at that web page, but it's not critical. That's why she's my favourite.
Okay, that's really good. Would you add her name to the conversation? If you don't mind, that'll be great. I'm just looking on Chris Wright's added Jonathan Old saying he's got to say a lot of stuff. Oh dear. Oh, he's talking about his claim a convict. He's done wonderful stuff with that. Now the next person, Jane, you may have experienced someone in the UK that we should all go and listen to when we go there, or perhaps it was someone that you met on the cruise.
I think the guy I think one of the guys that impressed me on the cruise, was Chris Payton.
Oh, yeah.
I found him very interesting. He's very easy to listen to. You just have
that's
to put your
Chris
giggle box
Payton.
in place.
Yeah. He's going on the cruise with you again in June, isn't he?
Yes, that's right.
I think
so.
so.
There are quite a few people that are available again.
So that's something to look forward to. If you can get to the UK, of course. It's easy for Jane. She's there. Is the Unlock the Pass cruise around the Baltic. I've done a cruise there, and it's just a wonderful. Jane's done one before. It's a great destination, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Okay. Now Jenny's going on that cruise. She's also going to Congress in Canberra. Jenny, you've been to the UK. I don't know if you went to. You learnt a lot while you were there, but I don't know if you've been to any formal. Oh, she's disappeared. Yeah, she's disappeared. Never mind. We'll go to Jenny McKay. Jenny, have you had an opportunity to hear people? I don't know if you're close to Perth or if you're a long way away. Any speakers that you've experienced?
I'm about 5 hours
or I suppose any
Perth,
writers, any podcasters? Mm-hmm. I think you're muted. You need to turn your microphone.
Is that how
that's it?
Going? Okay.
That's good.
I'm about 5 hours north of Perth, so but I do try and get down there whenever I can. And I listened to Thomas McCantry. He came in off that cruise.
Right. Yeah.
I think that you were on that one.
Yes, we were.
But someone already mentioned Louise. I find her excellent. And Dick Eastman, his blogs. Because I'm a techie. I find his blogs catch me each time. They're good.
Okay.
Sign up to his though.
Okay. Right. I think everyone knows his name, but if you don't mind putting it there. Oh, good. Chris Wright's put Moultrie Creek up. You're a star. Thank you. Pauline, they let you out of the Northern Territory a few times this year, didn't they?
Yes, I've been out a few times, Jill. Chris Payton, for me, is one of the standouts because he talks about Ireland and Scotland, which is near and dear to my heart. Locally, I don't get to hear Richard Reid very often, but I'm desperate to hear him at Congress next year. Richard is a history hero for me, so I absolutely think he's the bee's knees. And I really enjoyed talks too by Kerry Farmer and Helen Smith on the cruise, so sort of people that you get a chance to hear a little more often. But Helen's always so exuberant and enthusiastic, but has content, and I find Kerry has a lot of content as well.
Oh, Kerry packs so much in. I think she's so knowledgeable. Yeah.
And definitely Maria Northcote for her podcasts. I mean, she's an innovator because she's the only one doing it for Australia.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, no, that's good. Thank you for dobbing those people in. I think it's good because people who aren't so aware can take, recommendations. I put a blog post out the other day about suggestions for helping my school friend with, no, not my school friend, my church youth club friend with printing off. And I'm not going to upset someone, but someone suggested Cindy's List, and I thought, go there to look to see where my friend can go for printing. And I thought, no, I want recommendations. I want someone to say, I've used this and, I know I can go to Cindy's List to find out where I can, something can get printed. But it's really nice to be able to get a recommendation from someone who's actually experienced or used something. So I've probably upset someone, whoever put that comment, but never mind. Now I'm going back to Jenny because she seemed to drop out and back in, Jenny J. I was saying you've been out and about. You've been to the UK recently. I know you did a lot of family history. I don't know if you did anything in the formal sense. But have you heard anyone this year? I just thought you might have heard someone in the UK. But have you heard anyone this year? Or who do you really like? Who's really impressed you as a speaker? Because you get out and about. You're in Sydney.
Well, yeah. I didn't get a chance to listen to anyone while we were in the UK or Ireland or anything. But I guess the person that's impressed me most this year is Kim Phillips down at the conference at Wollongong.
Uh-huh.
I've heard her talk 3 times before on the spirits of Gallipoli, and it never ceases to move me in the same way. Now that has to speak, volumes about her abilities as a speaker.
Okay. Now this, you mentioned Wollongong. What was actually on at Wollongong?
That was the Association of New South Wales and ACT Family History Organisations conference, which they hold each year in September. This year it was in Wollongong, or Fairy Meadow, and you have a day and a half of talks, and the Friday before there's a trade fair and a few free talks open to the public. It's a great opportunity to hear things, but also to catch up with genealogy friends.
That's good. And next year, because I'm going on to things we might be doing next year, are you going to Port Macquarie next year? It's rather an attractive place. That's where they're having it.
We are.
Good.
My aunt lives not far from there, so we'll be taking a few days to visit her on the way back home.
All right. So even though we're not generally talking about what we're doing in the future, I think we've touched on a few things. So far we've touched on Congress in March in Canberra. We've touched on Roots Tech. I think you're going to Roots Tech, and Fran's going to Roots Tech, and I'm going to Roots Tech. We've touched on the state conference, which will be in September in Port Macquarie. And we've talked about the Unlock the Past Baltic cruise that you're going on again. You're going to be a busy bee. Even though we're not generally speaking, we might ask people shortly what they're doing. Now, there's Cherie. Now, Cherie, putting you on the spot, which person that whose blog you've followed, his podcast you've listened to, or whatever, would you really like to go and hear, or would you recommend that other people listen to them?
One that I listened to was actually Cindy Ingles talking about Evernote.
Oh, yeah. I went to that.
And
yeah.
I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but she seemed to explain it really well, and she had an enthusiasm for it that made it actually sound interesting and worthwhile.
Cindy is gorgeous. Jenny and I have actually met Cindy in the bar, haven't we, in Salt Lake City, and she's just the most vivacious, lovely person. So I can understand. Yeah, and that sort of came through on her Evernote webinar. That was the SAG one, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, Cindy's a star. She's lovely. Okay. Have I gone along the panel to get a suggestion from everyone? Yes, I have. Now, you're a teacher, and you have to undertake a lot of professional development. Do you, for your genealogy, have a plan, and do you keep a record of what I call CGD, continuing genealogical development, as you probably do in your teaching, or do you just, because it's a hobby, you just do a bit of this and a bit of that, whatever's there at the time that's convenient?
So far, I've basically done everything. It's been pretty unorganised, so every opportunity that I've seen, I've grabbed it. But I think what I need to start doing is take a focus area. So maybe for a couple of weeks, go and refresh what I know, or focus on a locality. So if I want to do something with Irish research, and focus on that and skill build, so I get a lot more practice in it. Or whether I want to do something like looking at methodology or using a tool like Evernote, I think that's probably what I need to do.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. I'm wondering what other people do. We'll move back along to the beginning to Chris, because it's easy for me to go along the panel. Chris, what do you do?
Well, I
think
must
it's fine to be ad hoc.
Yeah, I am a little bit. I do keep a spreadsheet, mostly for my work ones, but I also track things in Evernote, and I'm using a thing which I might show everyone, called Learning Locker. And Learning Locker, let me just share my screen with you. Okay, so Learning Locker is something completely, I suppose, different in a way. It's an open source learning record store. So it's a way of you storing your information. I'll just click over to show you my account. So
it looks like a mind map.
Yeah, sort of thing, but it's I haven't done. See, I've got one set up for genealogy, learning experiences related to genealogy, but I haven't put anything in there yet because I'm still learning what to do with it. But it has bundles, and then it has statements. So if I go to the statements area, you can see that I can record things such as, I viewed, I assessed, I participated in something, maybe I read something, and this stuff is supposed to be able to be exported and shared. It's still sort of in its development stage, but anyone can just sign up and create an account and have a play. So I'll put the link to that in the information, and if anyone wants to have a bit of a look and just see what they can do. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's made it very
something
worthwhile
different
for me. That's fantastic. Thank you, Chris. Fran, what about you?
I'm unmuted now. For me, I focused this year on doing my own research, so getting better sources, which I talked about before when I went to Roots Tech. That was one of the areas that I learned about. And I just need to sort it all out because you will all know the massive collection of documents, pictures, bits and pieces that you've collected that you have no idea where they came from. And so I'm really fighting myself from collecting more like that and going into trying to just sort out what I've got. And then on the other side, I've made a big effort to become more social. So I've joined up with Google Plus and Twitter and friended every genealogy person I can find in the world nearly, and going to the conferences. Because the thing is, and I've always been a big blog reader because I've been blogging for ages, even though I blog regularly once a year type of person. And so that's what my two focuses are. So I don't write a list, I just have an overall goal, and then I'm not good. Like I think it was Chris that said about not allocating time to doing the things early on in the podcast. So I try to allocate time. But I have to work too, because you've got to earn some money to pay for your genealogy travels.
Yes. Well, we're just spending the kids' inheritance. We call them ski holidays.
Oh, yes, no, that's good.
which is wonderful. Now, Jane, do you keep a record of your learning, or how do you keep up with new trends?
I probably don't have I keep a log of whatever, pretty well anything I go and watch or listen to, either gets marked as a Google Plus related thing, I'll favourite the post, or I'll post it back into Evernote. What I'm doing a lot now is anything which has got links to webcasts and things like that end up in handy hits in Evernote with a lot like this podcast or this Hangout will end up with a learning tag on it, so I can go back and see anything I've seen that was learning related.
Right, like Learning Locker.
That's already in my bookmarks.
Oh, good. That's fantastic. Now, I don't know if Jenny's here or there. Jenny J, are you there? Yes, she's there. No, she's gone. She's gone. We'll go to Jenny Mackay. Yep. Who's here? Jenny J. No, she's not. Yep, Jenny J. Do you have goals with your learning, and do you keep a record, and how do you do it?
To be honest, this last 12 months I haven't had any goals as far as learning goes. It's been more producing output, producing client reports, and doing talks, preparing talks. So this month, given that 3 months of it I was away on holidays, this last year has been unusual.
And now you're our Vice President, you'll have no time anyway. So Jenny's Vice President of Korean Historical Society. So that's going to take up a lot of her time.
One of the Vice President.
Yes. Good. All right, Jenny Mackay, do you keep some sort of learning record, or do you set some goals, or how do you manage your learning?
No,
is it ad hoc?
I'm an ad hoc. I just tend to listen, learn, and write notes, but never go back and look at them again. I've tried using Evernote and OneNote, and I've just found I don't go back to them. So I guess I wrote a lot of my memory quite a bit from those sort of things. But I'm organising a family reunion at the moment, so that's taking up a fair bit of my time. So.
And do you have to learn any new skills to do that?
No, we've done a couple in the past before.
You've done so.
Yeah, we're sort of hopefully got that on pat. But Genius Down Under, Maria is actually doing a podcast on that in November, so it'll be good to listen into that to see what she's got to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll go to Pauline, and then Cherie's made a comment actually, but she can tell us about the comment she's made. Yep, Pauline. You're an organised sort of person.
Obviously not, because I don't keep a spreadsheet of this. I guess it wouldn't have occurred to me back in the day when I started first, and I used to go to anything that the Genealogical Society of Queensland had on. So I heard a lot of speakers at the time. I tend to, and I suppose in those days we collected paper, which God knows where it is now. I think these days my record keeping is about the blog. So if I go to a talk, I'll blog about it afterwards, and so that becomes my reference point. Okay. And if I think, oh, what did that person say, I'll go back and look at what I wrote there. It's kind of in an aide-memoire kind of style, so that it reminds me what I heard. And I think Chris made the point that we've completely blipped over in our techno wonder. Have we read books, for God's sake? You know, I mean, that's...
I know, well, I keep them on
continuing. But, you know, I think it's easy to forget that sort of learning as well, and not the in-person stuff, and so that's useful. So mine's largely ad hoc, based on where I am and what bang I get from my buck. So that's my decision-making process.
Yeah, that's good. Sherry, would you like to share what you just wrote on the in the forum?
When I first started researching a lot heavily, I all these different videos and all sorts of things, so I started to keep. It's all right.
Yeah, I think your sound is gone. I think, have you got the storm?
Yes.
No, you're better now, so if you can say it again, that'd be good.
When I first started, I went out and I watched so much stuff, so I started to keep a Word document so I knew what it was that I'd actually watched. But about 2 months ago, I added a page to my blog so I could keep a list of what I watched as well, and I've tried to source that properly. I like the idea that Pauline's got about blogging about it afterwards.
I guess similarly, I've got a page on my blog called CGD that I list down most of the activities I go to, and then if I actually write a blog post about the activity, I put a link on my page to that blog post so I can go back and see. My difficulty, and I don't know if Pauline or anyone else who blogs about what they go to, is sometimes I go to something and it's so appallingly bad. Well, then I don't I tend not to blog about it. But yeah, I just don't know what to do. What do you do when you go to something bad and you don't want other people to go? I went to someone, I was telling Jenny the other day, I went to a talk recently, and Jenny, can you remember, you'll tell me the piece of software, Jenny Joyce, someone in the audience asked this gentleman, what software should I use? And he suggested this software. Is it Reunion, Jenny?
Reunion.
Yeah.
Reunion.
Yeah,
Reunion.
that used to be, yeah. There was a piece of, Reunion is now only for Macs, but years ago there was a version available for PCs. And I went to this talk, and this person was telling people in the audience, many of whom were beginners and new to family history, that they should use Reunion for Windows. But he said, you have to have an XP computer to use it because it hasn't been upgraded. And therefore you can't use it on a modern computer. And I thought, oh my God, this bloke, and then he said a few disparaging things about social media. Well, you can imagine how that went down with Chill. But I'm just wondering, what do you do when you've been to something like that? How do you share it with the world? Chris, what do you do? Oh, you're in the dark.
Yeah, my lights have just gone out. I don't know what happened. Oh, this is quite funny. I'll have to sit closer so you can see me.
That's right.
Now it's only the light from the screen. Yeah.
Yep. Too hard basket. She's gone. Fran, you've been to something appallingly bad. What do you do?
It just takes ages to get my thing to come up on the iPad to unmute myself.
All right.
I was born negative, so I actually try not to be too negative and rude about people. But they can usually tell, even if I'm at the back, they can see my face going, oh God, who could listen to this? So I try not to say bad things publicly, but I will tell people that I believe are in charge that should know, like presidents, they see me coming up to them after meetings and start running. And
good idea.
If you present your annual accounts and they don't pass my criteria of being a good enough quality, I will tell you. So, I just find it's easy to tell someone important that's partly responsible for it, and I do it when there's not other people around. Yes. And then if you don't want to talk to me for the next 6 months, it's your fault, not mine.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful advice. I'm just watching the clock, and we were going to talk about things we're looking forward to, and we've talked about things we've done, things we've learnt, and that there are some themes coming through that I've scratched down. Fran, what are you looking forward to? What's on your calendar?
Finishing my scanning. I'm scanning a book for my husband.
As far as learning goes.
As far as learning. Oh yes, I'm learning how to do it. No, I actually think for me, the next lot of conferences, I didn't realise the one in Canberra was a 3-year conference until Shauna said so at one of the things I went to. So I'm really looking forward to that because I looked at the program and it's very meaty. A lot of conferences don't have meaty programs, and so I'm obviously looking forward to Roots Tech but I know what to expect there, whereas the Canberra one, it's going to be very good, I reckon.
Okay. I'm wondering what Jane's looking forward to.
Well, I'm sort of looking forward to the cruise. Robbie. So hoping to be able to teach some new next year, which should be very interesting.
That's good. I hope you can schedule one in for before the cruise in about June. I'll let you know when I'll be. I'll let you know when I'll be in the UK.
Yeah, well, that's what you did last time, isn't it?
Yes, so and I'm just saying. The next thing I'm looking forward to is doing a course with Jane in the UK in about 5 weeks' time. So That's
Thank you very
wonderful.
much.
So you're looking forward to the cruise. I'm going to move along because we've got 5 minutes. Jenny, what are you particularly looking forward to? Jenny Joyce. She's an avatar. She'll be back in a minute. Jenny McKay, what are you looking forward to next year?
Well, I
Or in
didn't
the
have anything
future?
to look forward to, but I'll have to now. I might have to look up that Canberra.
Yeah, once every 3 years.
Yeah, I went
Yeah.
to Perth, well, back in whenever that was, 1990 something.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember
Not that
Yeah.
I have a vested interest because I'm an official blogger like Pauline and Shauna, but I think it's wonderful. Just being in Canberra and having access to those repositories is
Well, I've got a
great.
caravan now, so there's no excuse for me not to get in there and drive across.
No excuse not to go across, yeah. So there's something for you to look forward to. Pauline, what are you looking forward to?
Okay.
Apart from Congress, you've done your ad.
All right, I'm thinking about Roots Tech, so the jury is still out on that. So I'm wavering.
Well,
I'm not sure how
Fran's
much I'll get done next year because we're moving house, I hope, next year. So I think that will be the prime activity.
Oh, you can do that in the second half of the year.
Roots Tech, maybe, yes.
That'd be good. Cherie, now you're tied down with work and all. So have you got any plans for being able to get away?
I'm actually thinking of going to Congress as well. I'm
Oh,
thinking of going to see
wow.
the boss for a couple of days off.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Oh,
There
that's
looks
good.
like there's some great topics, and there's a few speakers that I would love to hear.
Yeah, honestly.
Except most of the time when there's one good thing, there's two good things on at the same time.
Yeah.
You know how it's got the 4 streams? There's usually 2 streams I'd like to see at the same time.
Yeah. That's wonderful. And we'll have a junior bloggers get together, and I'll get beads for everyone because we all wear beads so that we can recognise someone and go up and say, oh, you're a blogger, hello, because in the sea of people you mightn't recognise them. So you'll have lots of friends there if you decide to come along. Well, I guess that's what I'm looking forward to, the same things. I'm looking forward to Roots Tech, I'm looking forward to Congress, and I'm looking forward to going to the UK. Now, is there anything anyone would like to say in half a minute before we do a little bit of a roundup? Just wave your arms. No, you're like stunned mullets. Now, these hangouts are really informal, but I must thank you all because I learned something from each and every hangout. I find that just being able to chat in an informal way with people with shared interests is really wonderful. And today what's come out of it is that we all value blogs, we value podcasts, we value technology. We're all bits of technology or tech heads. I think we're a bit hard on ourselves, and Fran probably indicated this when she said she's learning that she doesn't have to be perfect, because many of us nominated that organisation is an issue, but we all talked, or many of us talked about tools like Evernote and blogs and spreadsheets and Learning Locker that will help us get organised. So hopefully you, as well as I, have been able to take something that we've learnt from the people who are here on the panel with us. So I want to thank all of you who've been on the panel. I'm actually taking off to other shores, but I might try and schedule a hangout in about 10 days or so before I go. And if anyone's got a topic they'd like to suggest, that'd be really beaut, because I'm not very creative. So I just want to thank all the people, poor old Julie Goucher, who couldn't get on, and Michelle Nichols and Jonathan Old, who don't have a very good internet connection where they live, who've been listening in. Hilary Gadsby is also coming to Roots Tech, so those of you who know Hilary from Wales, you'll be able to meet her if you go to Roots Tech. So thank you, everybody. I'm done. I'll see you around.
Jill. Bye.
Thanks, Jill.
Thank you, Jill. Bye, everybody.
Bye.